Right now, we have all the folks at the University of Florida, myself, Renee, Goodrich Schneider, Michelle Danilick, who is traveling, Matt Benj, who is our evaluator, Peggy Guerin, who's doing the yeoman's job of putting this all together, Pascale Jean of USDA. We also have Colin Edwards online, and then all the other folks, Ellen, Arlene, Elizabeth Newbold, Giovanna, and Ragani, excuse me, have all helped to kind of organize this and put this stuff together. Well, here's our agenda, and I'm going to throw this agenda in as a PDF in the chat so you can have this for what's going on today. Like I said, it's a fairly tight schedule. If you have questions, we don't get them to the live because we're limited on time. Just know that we will have time at the end if you want to hang out and chat with the presenters afterwards. And as always, since we're doing an extension outreach program, we do have an evaluation. Please use the link at the bottom of the screen and/or just use the QR code. And as we get to the end, give us your feedback. We are doing the webinar in lieu of an in-person meeting. We are planning to have an in-person meeting next May. For those who attended last year, we did it at the Tampa Grand in Tampa, Florida. We are planning to have a meeting again around the end of May. And for those interested, just kind of block that last week out on your calendar. And as the date gets closer, we will send you save the date information. I am going to introduce our first speaker, Pascale Jean, who grew up in the beautiful island of Haiti in a sunny, hot culture enriched through Miami, Florida. She obtained all of her degrees from Florida International University while completing her bachelor's in dietetics and nutrition. She graduated towards community nutrition, which led her to pursue a master's degree in public health and with a focus on the health promotion and disease prevention. She got a doctorate degree also in public health. Currently, Pascale is the national program leader with the USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture in the Institute of Food Safety, Nutrition, and in the Division of Nutrition and prior to joining NIFA, she worked as the branch chief for the Program and Grant Administration branch of USDA Food and Nutritional Sciences. Community Food Systems Division, where she led the team that facilitated the Farm to School Grant Program. So now she is our fearless leader. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pascale to give a brief overview of what's been going on.
Thank you. I'm going to switch my screen again. Thank you again for the introduction. I'm going to apologize in advance. My internet is acting weird, so hopefully we can get through the next 5 minutes. All right. So hi, everybody. As Keith mentioned, my name is Pascale Jean. I'm the National Program Leader facilitating the the Food Safety Outreach Program. I have the pleasure of following Dr. Jody Williams. So I'm not Jody, but I'll try to do as best as I can. All right. Couple introduction. This is a non-discrimination statement. This is basically saying like does anything inappropriate. I have to show this, so nothing significant to remember. Just be aware that the process to file a discrimination statement. All right. So let's start with explaining what NIFA is. I feel like all of you guys know what NIFA is because you're a NIFA recipient, but NIFA is an extramural funding agency within the USDA Research, Education, and Economics Mission Area, REE for short. It was created to spur scientific innovation, education, and extension programs. NIFA provides leadership and funding to programs that advance agriculture-related sciences and administers federal funding to address the agricultural issues impacting people's daily lives and nation's future. NIFA is currently working to ensure our investment aligns with the administration executive orders and department priorities on research evaluation, which includes the following 5 cores: increased profitability of farmers and ranchers, expanding markets and creating new uses of U.S. agriculture products, protected the integrity of American agriculture from invasive species, promoting soil health to regenerate long-term productivity of land, and improving human health through precision nutrition and food quality. Briefly, I want to explain how NIFA is extramural science funding agency. There are 3 layers. On the right hand, that slide's emphasizing our work within research, extension, and education initiative. that support the long-term viability of agriculture. Currently, NIFA is led by Dr. Jake Hamby. He's our director. Dr. Rachel Melnick is the acting associate director for program. Ms. Brenda Williams is the associate director for operation, and Mr. Brent Williams is the NIFA chief of staff. Within NIFA, we have 4 institutes. I am in the Institute of Food Safety and Nutrition. Briefly, NIFA awards competitive grants for fundamental and applied research, extension, and higher education activity, as well as projects that integrate research, education, and extension functions. In addition, NIFA funds capacity grants that ensure that land-grant university system includes NCSU and other partners maintaining capacity and conduct research and extension services. Food safety. Food safety is an area of global public health priority and plays a critical role to achieve food sustainability, food security, nutritious food goals to address poverty, hunger, and promoting health. The program protects public health from foodborne illnesses. The program also promotes access to nutritious, healthy, and safe food. And the main priority is to reduce exposure to food with potential cause of physical harm, illness, and possibly death to consumers. The food safety outreach program priorities are to support development of new food education and outreach programs, support growth and expansion of existing food safety education outreach programs, support expansion and development of multi-county, statewide, and multi-state food safety education and outreach programs, and foster the development and refinement of grant writing skills and provide grant writing resources to strengthen the application of the program. I also want to take a moment to highlight some recent accomplishment of the FSOP program. Over the past couple of years, we invested approximately $9.6 million annually in food safety education and outreach, which support diverse training initiatives statewide. We strengthened national reach by supporting multi-FSOP awards mechanism and NOFO, that's what we call the RFA now, tracks, include collaborative education and training, regional centers, grant writing assistance, and ensuring resources meet the needs of small, mid-sized producers, processors, and community organizations. We have funded hundreds of projects across states and regions through ongoing FSOP awards, facilitating producer training, relevant education, and food safety technical assistance and capacity building partnership. We also provide continued technical assistance and program support to grantees, including NOFA updates, regional coordination, supplement management, and communication through weekly team meeting and stakeholder engagement. Here's a list of resources available. To wrap up, we have a lot of resources, some of which are listed here to help navigate our program. Again, thank you for your time, and I'll like now to answer any question that you may have while I'm here. Unless we're taking questions at the end, you let me know.
Again, if anybody wants to put questions, please put them in the Q&A. While the next speaker starts her slides, I'm going to introduce today's moderator, Ellen Johnsen, who will be introducing all the rest of the speakers for today. Ellen works for the North Center Regional Center for FSMA training, which is based at Iowa State University. Before joining the produce safety team, Ellen worked for a variety of nonprofit organizations and was briefly a professional triangle player. Interesting. So Ellen, I'm going to turn over the festivities to you and take it away.
Well, welcome everyone. We appreciate your time. This FSOP webinar will be moderated in rhyme. Maile and Emilee, it's time to go. We'll learn about food hub safety training in MO. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks for having us. My name is Emilee Blansit, and I am the grant specialist for Springfield Community Gardens. Miley's going to be here mostly just to help out if I forget something or get stumped. So I'm going to talk about our food safety project, and this is actually our second round of funding. And with the first round of funding, we created 8 food safety educational videos and shared them on YouTube and throughout our network. And we also translated those same 8 videos into Chin. And then with this new round of funding, we made 8 more videos translated them again, so 16 new videos. And to expand on the work we started, our focus with this new grant has been to reach people through online opportunities and in person. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what that's been like. But first, just to tell you a little bit about who we are. Springfield Community Gardens was founded by Maile Auterson in 2010, and our mission is to create community gardens that strengthen neighborhoods where people grow healthy relationships, food, and community. We have 15 gardens, 2 farms, and we've distributed over 1 million pounds of food in partnership with Ozarks Food Harvest by growing food ourselves at our farms and our gardens, and by partnering with local farmers throughout the region. So I want to talk a little bit about the objectives of this second round of funding that we're presenting on today. And I'm going to also talk a little bit about how we've had to pivot, not the objectives, but how we are reaching those objectives. So the first is developing replicable curriculum, and we identified an online training platform called Litmos to do that. The second is online training. The third is in-person training, and the last is evaluation and disseminating the lessons learned. Okay, so like I said, we created 8 new videos, and these are the titles of all of those videos. The topics are building a farm food safety plan, harvest and produce food safety, farm workers, water, pack house, growing crops, animals, and farmers markets. And each video is about, on average, 4 to 5 minutes long. And we shared all of these on YouTube and to our network of growers. And we also, like I said, translated them into Chin. We spent our entire translation budget on that Chin translation. And so in order to reach more underserved populations, we'll use AI resources to continue doing that without the budget. Okay, I'm gonna just play a few seconds of this, and you might not be able to hear the sound, but I just wanted to give you the look and feel. You can find all of these videos on our YouTube channel if you just search Springfield Community Gardens, and we have a playlist for the food safety videos.
I'm Patrick Byers, such as we have here, or it may be a canopy outdoors with foldable tables. But regardless of the design, there are a number of important.
Okay, so who you're seeing on the screen, his name is Patrick Byers, and we've partnered with him for many years now. He is a retired horticulture field specialist and food safety specialist from MU Extension. And we have continued to partner with him to create these educational materials. And so we were using Litmos, and I personally spent hours upon hours developing, well, not necessarily developing the curriculum, but taking the curriculum that Patrick helped to develop and putting it on this platform and making it something that we could share and people could do an online course. And we were just not getting hardly any engagement. And I think a big reason for that is because food safety is just inherently kind of boring, unfortunately. And no matter what we did, we just could not get people interested in those resources. So while I'm spending all this time, of course, we are also making content for social media separately from the project. And then it became abundantly clear that that was the much better avenue for providing this information. And so we pivoted and we started making these short clips and sharing those resources through our social media channels. And you can see below, we have a combined reach of 10,000 views, and our entire channel capacity is much, much higher than that. So anyone going to our pages can then be routed to food safety content as well. And so these are the outcomes of the grant thus far. Of course, we have a month and a half left, but we have the 16 new videos for a total of 32 videos over both grants, and then 8 modules that we have since broken down into bite-sized pieces and are sharing in new ways. And then over 10,000 views of this educational content we've been creating. Okay, and then another part of this grant was providing in-person training to those with technology barriers. And we actually ran into the exact same problem. We hosted some workshops, just like we said we would do with our objectives. And Patrick was our educator, and we just were not getting people to show up. And that is unusual for us because recently we had a herbs as food and medicine workshop with 20 plus people in attendance, not a problem. But when you say, hey, come learn about food safety for an hour, it's just crickets. And so we had to pivot that one as well. And we've switched to more customized approach. It's a little bit more laid back. And so this is us at our Lone Pine site where our chin growers have beds that they produce food in. And this is Amber, our leader at that site. You can see she's using visuals to communicate along with help from our interpreter. His name is Ta. And together they were able to teach the chin growers at site and meet them where they were, and kind of go about things that way instead. Okay, our next steps, like I said, our goal is to continue translating the content into more languages. And since we exhausted that budget, we'll have to rely on some other technology to get that done. And then we've been cultivating, and props to Maile here specifically, she's been working really hard on this relationship with Casey Farm School over the past few years. And through them, we'll be able to also reach the 3,000 chin growers in the Casey metro area. And that's it. That's our project. I'm finished about a minute early. If you have any questions, I can take questions, or we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, we have one question. What methods are you using to ensure that the AI translations are correct? This person worked for the military, and the AI translation tools have a lot of inaccuracies.
Yeah, AI has a lot of inaccuracies no matter what you're doing. We have a staff member who's fluent in Spanish, so she reviews any materials that we produce in Spanish. And then for Chinese, Maile, correct me if I'm wrong, but we will have to recruit someone similar to like we have for the Spanish translations. And we
Yeah.
don't have
And
that
then
person
the Chin, we have several in the Chin community who are actually interpreters, and they have gone over the Chin language. But the AI is helpful. We're not going to deny that it's really useful as a template or a start for that. And we do recognize that it is not always accurate.
Okay, Emilee, thank you for sharing. Now we'll stay in the Midwest. Annalisa, please share now. That is my request.
Thank you for having me. I'm representing our team, Dr. Pei Lu from University of Missouri, Columbia, and Dr. Toria Eaton from Lincoln University, our co-PIs on this project. along with me. Here's two of our lovely Hmong growers. So this project is focusing on Hmong growers. Hmong are a group that have come from Southeast Asia, Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, and they speak the Hmong language. They are concentrated. There's a large number in the Twin Cities metro area of Minneapolis, St. Paul, but there's also a lot of Hmong across the entire country, including in California. And this is Tung Pao and Hle, and they have been farming in Minnesota for about 25 years. Background of our project is, in general, there are a number of challenges to carrying out food safety training for Hmong growers, and that includes FSMA produce safety rule training and also just GAP training in general, best practices for food safety on the farm. And that includes convenient training locations, training format, language, and cultural differences. And these are all things that we've learned from previous projects. And many, though not all, of our current produce safety rule and GAP training programs don't necessarily address the needs or the learning styles that are preferred by many Hmong growers. It is hard to say specifically, but some say maybe about 50% of the population isn't literate in Hmong. So translation doesn't work for this audience always. So it becomes more nuanced than translation. Long-term goal of the project is to develop a collaborative education and training program to advance food safety for Hmong growers in the upper Midwest, and then more broadly share that nationwide. Objectives here is to create a customized, culturally sensitive food safety training program for Hmong growers. We've since really broadened that. We have a number of underserved populations in Minnesota and in Missouri, but especially in Minnesota, for example, a number of Kenyan growers that I work extensively with across Minnesota. This applies to them as well. Evaluation of the tools that we create, and then creating culturally appropriate and really picture-based manuals, supplemental materials to use alongside our produce safety rule trainings or GAP trainings, and then picture-based SOP guides and other SOPs for both trainers and farmers. And then one-on-one, we hear a lot of our growers saying that they can attend a training, but it's that follow-up that really moves the needle on their food safety practices on the farm. So Dr. Liu really led this portion of the project, and so I will do my best to provide her insight. She's traveling internationally, but our approach and for our objectives 1 and 2 is to really provide a needs assessment and really kind of do a deeper dive, stepping back from food safety, but also just doing interviews with Hmong growers that we work with to hear a larger context about how they like to learn, how they share information amongst their community. So we did interviews with Hmong farmers, that was 20, and then surveys, and that was 95. And those were interpreted and recorded. So our results were from the interviews, and these were in-depth. These were about an hour long, and these are the kind of demographics that we had there. And so Dr. Liu and her team of graduate students really broke it down via coding in a qualitative data system here. So we have functional clues, mechanic, and then humanic. So those are kind of a functional clue would be a clue that would be related to the technical support needed and the times that was brought up in an interview. Mechanic might be things like access to resources, if it's information or knowledge, and then humanic would be things related to people on the farm and their knowledge and the challenges that they have amongst their family often. Here are some of those outcomes and some little snippets from comments that some of the farmers made. I will really draw your attention to the fact that they stated a number of times that it was just too technical. There was no pushback on food safety in general, but when it's framed in very technical terms, it became overwhelming. And then also the other thing that really stood out was just the language barrier. So really needing to make it both in formats like picture-based, but also in simple English, because some of them absolutely speak English, but to a kind of a plain language level. So then some follow-up surveys were done, and these were pretty in-depth surveys, and these were presented in person at trainings. These were not mail surveys. And then these are some of the results based on those in-depth surveys. Some of the main takeaways are that what we are calling procedural or rule-based knowledge was easier to learn. So the very clear, do not harvest product if you have dropped it or it has dropped before harvest, for example. But if it's more kind of conceptual or the whys of food safety, kind of a larger context that I would argue moves the needle more in terms of food safety, that really building the culture was harder to learn. So I think going forward, if we could really think about how we can help really get across those concepts as opposed to purely just here are the rules that you must follow. But the training, so pre and post, did show that there was improvement in their food safety knowledge after attending the trainings. So we also have developed, so those trainings, it's important to note, we're not produce safety rule trainings. We have a curricula that we use with many growers, and it is very picture-based and it is very practical, and we co-lead with farmers and we talk about the how-tos and the whys. It's much less rule-based. So some of the outputs that we've been working on. Number one is a picture-based manual. So this will be, it's about 20 pages, gaps, concepts that could be used alongside a produce safety rule training or during any sort of another food safety training. I get a lot of kind of questions about, do we have just an overview of some really important fundamental gaps concepts with a lot of pictures and not a lot of language? We're trying to make it as little language as possible. Of course, that is not always possible for some of the sections, but that is one output. Another is just on farm trainings and those one-on-one consults. Here we have, we're doing a field day. We set up with a farmer. They actually built a nice structure, but you can see it's not, it's semi-enclosed. And then we set up spray tables and wash tubs for them in hand washing. And then we were able to share that with the community. And we didn't have to do a lot. They really just talked amongst themselves. We had a supply list, and everything was available from big box stores. Next is an SOP guide for trainers. So another question I get a lot is, okay, so we need to add activities since growers, these growers report really improving their outcomes and interest when it's hands-on. First of all, it's hard to find time during a produce safety rule training for that. But also just what to do. It can take a lot of time to develop those protocols. And I know that some other other ideas have been floated around like this and other materials work. I really wanted to kind of gather all of those SOPs for tabletop activities in one spot and especially make them approachable and appropriate for growers who English isn't their primary language. And they're also very short. They're intended to be 4 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes tops, because in a training, you just aren't always having a lot of time. And those will have pictures as well. And then picture-based.
And sorry, Annalisa, speaking of not having much time, if you could wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm done. Thanks. So SOP guides for farmers. These would be those picture-based SOPs. And in the future, we're just going to keep on working on the objectives, especially those outputs. And that's it.
Thank you so much for that presentation and addressing those needs. Meredith, can you now tell us about planting the seeds?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I am Meredith Melendez with Rutgers Cooperative Extension. And I'm going to talk about our project, Planting the Seeds, Teaching the Value of Food Safety to New and Beginning Farmers. This project really came from observations that we'd had over the years, conducting farm visits and engaging with newer farmers at grower meetings and events. And what we found was beginning farmers had an interest in including food safety concepts while developing their businesses. So they saw value in including that with their business plans. But like others have said, right, it gets really technical quickly. Often a lot of assumptions are made about how much money this is going to cost, and then it just sets up barriers for implementing these often really simple risk reduction practices. On this project, I'm joined with Wes Klein, a county ag agent like myself, and Jennifer Matthews, our senior program coordinator. So when we looked at the latest NACS numbers for ag stats for New Jersey, we really weren't surprised by what we saw. We actually saw an increase in the number of farms in the state, and that's really led by small farms and farmers that have been growing for less than 10 years. And an audience that doesn't necessarily have a traditional relationship with extension. So people we weren't really seeing at our extension meetings and showing up for our food safety outreach. And so we thought that this was an audience that we could really reach. This is really important for the ag economy in the state and bringing new growers into more long-term production in the state. And it's a fun group to work with. There's lots of ideas, lots of innovation, lots of optimism, and also thinking about really getting to these growers before they have buyers starting to make requests about food safety requirements for market access, as well as that surprise call from the state saying they're coming out to do a FSMA inspection. So that was probably one of the more motivational thing for us as a team too. It was really frustrating as an extension educator and technical service provider to get that call of the state's coming out in a week to do a FSMA inspection on my farm, or I just found out from my buyer, right? We're talking about springtime, that they're going to require a third-party audit in order to continue purchasing from them. It results in a lot of scrambling. And then when we're talking about this particular audience, this beginning farmer audience, who's, right, every farmer is kind of overwhelmed with all the decisions and things that happen on a daily basis. But you add this level of lack of understanding about food safety, lack of understanding about markets and the terminology and practices that we're talking about, we could see how there could be some missed opportunities there. And so we wanted to create a program that really met those needs, really reduce that information overload, but increase that adoption of these risk reduction practices while having a benefit to their market access. And so really thinking about that risk awareness, empowering them with an understanding of why food safety is important, how to reduce those risks within their own farm environment, and building that food safety culture from the beginning of their business rather than as a requirement to meet a regulation or a market. So when we wrote this grant, this was back in 2022 for us. We thought there would be a clear path. People would attend an in-person workshop. We would start building relationships. We would have more in-depth information, resources for plan writing, do webinars, and then follow up with on-farm walkthroughs. What we found was that people like to start on the other end of that spectrum with the on-farm walkthroughs. They wanted that really specific information about their farm. And so not everybody. We certainly had people that started with the in-person workshops. But we came to realize that having this diversity of resources and lots of different ways to engage with us met the needs of people depending on where their comfort level was. Maybe they wanted to engage with us first on a webinar because that felt safer to them rather than showing up for a full day training. We definitely saw with growers over the years that beginning farmers were sometimes intimidated in terms of showing up to one of our FSMA trainings. If their perception is that multi-generational farm families would be showing up to that, people that had been farming for a long period of time. And so we really thought focusing on this beginning farmer audience, tailoring even a FSMA training for them would help lower some of the barriers to participation. And we have more work to do when it comes to evaluations for all of this, but we think we've made some progress in terms of reaching this audience, and having better connections with them, and hopefully building a trusting relationship with Extension in general, as often sometimes where the food safety team is the first one to engage with them on the Extension end. So in terms of what we did, we've held 2 in-person workshops, and that's where we've had the probably the least amount of engagement with those full day workshops, which are hands-on in nature. You could see the picture. The second one on the right there was when we were doing our build your own hand washing station portion of the workshop. And then everyone goes home with a hand washing station. We also have various molds of animal fecal material that are commonly found in the region, and we do a wildlife risk assessment out in the field. We hold these workshops at one of our research farms that's conveniently located to where we're finding this population in the state. And people seem to really like that. And they also seem to really like the hands-on post-harvest sanitation. So understanding the 4-step process, understanding how to read a label and mix up the proper ppm of sanitizers, and how you would approach sanitizing different types of equipment. We're fortunate, one of our research farms has the Are You Ready to Farm program, which is a beginner farming program focused on vegetable production. So we just sort of use all of their post-harvest equipment for that part of our workshop, which it's all hand built. It's low barrier to entry type equipment. It's not a beautiful $40,000 stainless steel piece of equipment. And I think that all of those little things really help add up to making people feel comfortable, seeing themselves in that space, and asking the questions that they need to have, which is really important. We've also had plan writing workshops and webinars. We've had specific webinars on different topics. So developing a worker training program and ag water have been our two more popular ones, as well as showing up at every ag conference in the state, which New Jersey's nice. We only have to drive so far to get to one end of the state or the other. And so really trying to find these growers at the different locations that they might show up has been very helpful in making introductions, and then becoming a familiar face, or even seeing other growers talking to us that maybe they have relationships with. So sort of that word of mouth has been helpful. All of our webinars are available online. We have a YouTube channel for the team, and we put it up there. We've also developed a food safety essentials website that's built off of our team website, where we're making these resources available. And we're finding, right, they just continually tick up with the YouTube views. We could do a better job about promoting them on social media, all the things. But what we're really happy with is the number of farm walkthroughs that we've conducted. Since doing these slides, I've done a couple more. So we're over 50 farm walkthroughs, and that's representing at least 35 farms in the state that have reached out, that we would classify as beginning farmers wanting produce safety outreach. And so if that's our first interaction, we link them up with everything else that we've been doing. Or a lot of times, right, they've either attended the training or they participated in something else. And so it's really great, right? We continue to learn with every farm visit that we do for people as well. And I find it very helpful in terms of gauging need and coming up with ideas for the what's next. What else can we provide to this community? In our in-person sessions, we've done some knowledge gain. So we've been happy to see a pretty significant increase in understanding of food safety concepts, that why and how. And then in our grant period ends at the end of June of next year. And so we want to continue those farm visits, particularly those who haven't asked for them yet. We want to build out our website with more of the resources. We've written a couple fact sheets that are related to this that help with decision making. And then we need to really survey these people to really measure the impact and help us figure out what do we as a team need to do next for this particular group. And that's it for me.
Now it's on to Terpase from the University of Rhode Island. Go ahead, Terpase, and go ahead and share your screen.
So my name is Terpase, and I'm a PhD student in Biology and Environmental Sciences at University of Rhode Island. I'm presenting on behalf of the lead PI, Nico Richard. So the larger part of this grant is building capacity, customized food safety education, and outreach in Rhode Island. And for this specific work, which is part of my dissertation, is enhancing food safety compliance in Rhode Island small-scale processors, a training evaluation case study for sustainable implementation. So we all know the problem of food safety training, especially among food processors that are in small scale, and it's same in Rhode Island as we experience in other places. They lack the necessary food safety training, and this has been a barrier to compliance to FDA preventive control for human foods, and it could increase food safety risk. So our objective was to observe food safety practices and conduct PCHF audits at small-scale food processors in Rhode Island. Also understand the educational needs and outreach needs of these producers. So the first thing we did was to carry out a survey to know what are the educational needs of these people, of these processors. So we identified that majority of those that took the survey identify hazard analysis and preventive control for human food as a major challenge. So what we did next was to go our approach at this point. At the baseline, we went to the on-site on food processing facilities. So we observed that majority of those food processors were majorly fresh cut vegetables and bakeries. So we choose among them the highest rank food processors. So we choose fresh cut produce, bakery, chef table, sauce, and ice cream. So these 4 facilities, we went with a standard checklist to actually identify what are the needs, the training needs, and the technical assistance they may need. So we desire to first provide the training to them and then do one-on-one food safety training. And then after 3 months, we could do a follow-up on-site food safety audit to see if there could be improvement in food safety outcomes. So the first thing, from the result of the first initial pre-training, we observed that for the fresh cut produce facility, they need improvement on environmental monitoring programs. They are doing actually great in other aspects, but they lack environmental monitoring programs. The next one, which is the ice cream facility, we observed that from the checklist that we conducted around and observed their production, we observed that they need improvement with documentation and written SOPs because there was no proper documentations and the workers could not actually follow. Sometimes if the worker is not around, the next one could not have a good written SOP to follow in the absence of maybe the person that's in charge. For the bakery facility, we observe that they need improvement in monitoring, validation, and verification of preventive controls. And for the chef stable sauce production, we also observe that they need a written food safety plan. They are new into food processing, and so they don't have a written food safety plan. So we observe that the participants were handling multiple operations alongside food safety duties because most of them are sole proprietor businesses, and because they don't have a lot of staff on ground, so they have to combine both food safety part of it and the processing. And because most times they have a lot of customers that are interested in their products, and they have to produce in larger quantities. And so the time to be able to focus on food safety and also have their products becomes a great challenge to them. So what was out there? Participants, they were positive towards food safety. They were so interested. They want to produce their food. They want to have a safe food for their consumers. But then they have low confidence about their current compliance status. So it becomes so difficult because they find it difficult to understand the rules and what to do to be able to meet the regulations. So our next step on this project is to deliver a targeted training. So we're going to organize a training for them, as many of them, but we are selecting these 4 for this case study. But we're going to do a wider food safety training. And then for the one-on-one technical assistance, we are going to provide for these 4 facilities. And then we conduct a follow-up for the 4 facilities, and then we evaluate the short and long-term effectiveness of this intervention. So just as the diagram that is shown below has explained, from our first on-site food safety audit to the customized training, the technical assistance, and because we want to combine the two, because we observe that most of the times they will show that they have attended training, they have the idea, but when you go to the practical implementation on the facilities, it becomes an issue. So we're going to combine the intervention of training and technical assistance. So after that, we're going to do a second on-site food safety audit using the same standard checklist, and then we observe the practices and see the improvement. So at the end of the day, the outcome we are looking at to see how improvement in regulation compliance. Thank you so much. Questions?
I don't see any in the chat. So if people have questions, you can put them there later and we can answer them during the Q&A session. So thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. And now the time is right for Annie to share about the Clearinghouse site.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Annie Fitzgerald with the Northeast Center to Advance Food Safety, based out of the University of Vermont. I apologize for not sharing my camera today. My internet connection is very shaky, and so I'm hoping to just get through audio in the presentation. Really, that's what you need to take away from this. Today, I'm presenting on our project, Creation of Food Safety Resource Clearinghouse Content Catalogs to Improve Access and Shared Knowledge. For a little bit of background, the Food Safety Resource Clearinghouse is a national user-driven online repository of food safety resources. So anyone in the food safety field can create an account and contribute resources that they've created, which allows other people to access them and expand reach while still linking back to the original resource contributor and making sure that you can sort of get more eyes on your project. So if you have outputs from your FSOP projects, you should add them to the Food Safety Resource Clearinghouse. The Clearinghouse was created several years ago, and over time, as it grew and expanded, we sort of identified this need to improve how people were actually accessing the resources. It was very limited in terms of different ways to find resources. Really, we were dependent on a search feature that was kind of clunky and not very helpful. And we realized with all of these resources that people had been adding to the Clearinghouse, there was a great opportunity to sort of group them together by topic areas and help people as they walk through these different topic areas understand a fuller picture of what these different things were and these different concepts by pulling from multiple resources. So our approach to do that was to start with background research of how the Clearinghouse is operating and what wasn't working correctly, looking at what topic areas were going to be useful to organize resources by, and then share out resources through these new topic structures and better search feature and accessibility. And then lastly, of course, evaluate and assess the impact of that project. Overall, our goal was just an easier user experience, better access to resources, and an easier way of sort of navigating through these very complex topics that make up the preventive controls and produce safety rule. So I'm going to kind of just go through our approach and methods and how we used each of these areas to improve the clearinghouse. Starting with understanding how users are using the clearinghouse and what needs were not being met by the current design, we did literature reviews, we did user surveys, and we looked at the analytics data of how people were actually interacting with the site. And we mapped all of this out against all of the different ways that somebody might use the clearinghouse, which is what you're seeing in this graphic here. So we start with what is the user trying to do, either learn or teach, and sort of all of these different ways they might be learning or teaching. And then we grouped that into these different areas of how we might be able to solve these problems that the user has when they come to the clearinghouse. So we have a directory of contacts, we have a search tool, and the resource catalog. And what we really wanted is to build this resource catalog to be something new and innovative. This is very much sort of thinking about how we think about information and how we can improve the clearinghouse access. So I realize it seems like a little bit of a departure of a direct connecting people to food safety, but really we wanted to be very intentional about how we were structuring and organizing information. And that's what this first step of understanding user actions and user design was intended to do. So for creating the resource catalogs, which was the biggest lift here, we reached out to subject matter experts in our different topic areas. So the 7 topic areas that we found were going to be most useful were cleaning and sanitizing, worker training, ag water, buildings and facilities, soil amendments, wildlife, domesticated animals, and land use, preventive controls for human foods, and audits and inspections. Audits and inspections ultimately wound up being added on at the end when we found that there was just such an abundance of resources. And so we went above the 7 that we initially planned. But here on the right, you can see what the subject matter experts came up with. So we reached out to them and asked them, can you think about these different topic areas and what subtopics do you really think make up these things? What concepts are really most essential to learning about these different areas? And one of the things I really like is our subject matter experts all came up with different ways of organizing these resources and representing this information. And I think that's really useful to keep in mind, because it goes back to the exact reason we created these resource catalogs, is we need to help people find different ways to navigate through information, because not everybody thinks of information the same way. And when we're trying to connect people to resources, we wanted to create as many opportunities that felt natural to the user and natural to how they might approach information. So with that, we then overhauled the clearinghouse. The actual build out was a multiple month process, and it launched in January of this year. So this is the new Food Safety Resource Clearinghouse page. It is, I think, a lot more polished looking than the old version of the site. And on the upper left menu, you can see that there's a produce safety section and then preventive controls for human foods. If you click on either of those, it takes you to all of these subtopics that our subject matter experts help identify. And then in each topic area, we've organized all of the clearinghouse resources to help you find them more easily and in a way that feels a little bit more intuitive. We also made major improvements to the search feature, so it's a lot better at matching content based on relevance, accuracy. You can now search for author information, which is something that was missing, but that our analytics data showed people were really interested in finding. In addition to the organization by topic area, Phil Tocco at Michigan led an effort. There's now a media library, so you can find resources to help add media to your educational materials. And we created a dedicated directory specifically to find contact information for other food safety professionals. And so the whole goal is just to make it a little bit clearer to find information and find how to use these resources. Oh, there we go. Here's our topic areas. If you look under produce safety, so you can see the topics and the subtopics there. And then, oh my gosh, sorry. So here's our sanitizing and our resources organized under the sanitizing subtopic. And then now that we've built the clearinghouse, we're in our evaluation stage. So some of the things that we're looking at are primarily analytics to see what topic areas are really resonating with people, where are they going most frequently for resources, where are things connecting most readily that we sort of hoped people would be able to use these new features to find information in new ways, and where are things maybe not clicking, where we're not seeing a lot of traction with different parts of the site or different areas. So this graph is from some of our older analytics data, but it helped us understand when people are doing something like searching for water, right, which is really ambiguous. What are they actually interested in looking for, and how can we make sure that those resources are sort of better available to them and just easier for them to find so that people can really quickly connect to that information and either learn it themselves or share it out with their stakeholders. We're set to end, so this grant ends in 2026. So right now, our focus is on sharing the changes that we've made to the clearinghouse and doing this evaluation process. I think that covers everything. Are there any questions?
I don't see any in the chat right now, but if folks have some, please type them in and we can get them to Annie after the last presentation. So thanks for that update and the sound rationale. Hung will now explain the work in Southern Cal.
So this this project is completed. This project focused on food safety outreach and technical assistance for historically underrepresented farmers in Southern California, particularly Korean, Spanish, and other small farming communities. Many of these farmers operate small-scale, diversified farms that face significant barrier while trying to understand and comply with FSMA. Some of the most common challenges include language and cultural barrier, limited trust in outside organization, low digital literacy, and limited access to food technical assistance. Many of these has been said earlier in previous presentation. In our region, which is Sanborn and Riverside, there are only few providers that offer specialized food safety support. San Bernardino, for example, is the largest county in the United States. It's actually larger than 9 other U.S. states and larger than some country like Denmark and Belgium and such, with only roughly about 2 food safety TA provider for the whole Southern California region. So that being said, for many grower, compliance is also very expensive. Not just that, not only not having TAs providers, but it's very expensive and time consuming. USDA estimate that it costs roughly around 21,000 annually. And a lot of the farmers say record keeping is often being the most challenging, difficult requirement for them. Our need assessment and direct interaction with farmers show that awareness and implementation of FSMA practice remain low among all small farmers, especially underserved farmers. This highlights the need for culturally appropriate language access, education, and one-on-one support for to help small farmers understand food safety requirement and adopt practical food safety practice on their farms. The majority of farmers in the region have limited access to food safety resource and also are unaware of FSMA regulation as well. To address this challenge, we designed all hands-on outreach and technical assistance programs centered on the need identified directly by the farmers. A lot of our courses or in person, on the farms, but we also rely on heavily on trusted community relationships. So we go a lot onto individuul farms and work with individual farmers to build a network of food safety network and where we distribute multilingual outreach material and conduct on-farm demonstration to farmers. The project provides workshops on FSMA and gaps in English, Korean, and Spanish. This workshop combined both classroom-based instruction and farm demonstration with practical demonstration covering topics such as worker hygiene, sanitation, traceability, and record keeping. Our staff speaks Spanish, and we have staff that speak Korean. We are part of a statewide program that have staff that speak Chinese, Hmong, Luming, and other languages as well. In addition, we conduct individual on-farm food safety assessment. During this visit, we perform mock audits, identify area for improvement, and provide tailored recommendation to each operation. We also organize small group tailgate meetings where farmers and their employee could receive practical training on food safety procedures and documentation. To support imitation, we develop and distribute culturally and linguistically appropriate education material, including template, checklist, and record keeping. Finally, we evaluate program effectiveness through survey, follow-up visits, and assessment of food safety practice adoption to ensure that education translate into real on-farm equipment. We, for example, translate all food safety documents in Korean and Spanish is already available, and we also have Chinese version and also version in Hmong language as well, and Luming. So for the result, we did 4 PSA training in the region. We also participate in about 8 PSA training statewide. These are the 4 PSA training in person is in Southern California. The 7th one is virtually throughout the states. Through this effort, farmers receive information on FSMA compliance, gaps, and practice, and also they receive a lot of the templates that was generated. All major component of the project was individualized technical assistance. So we really visit every farm we can. So more than 100 farms were visited. We provide food safety assessment. We print out record keepings in the language that was needed. Farmers receive all these record keeping and then compliance guideline and a direct assistance in addressing food safety concern to the operation. We also organized about 26 tailgate meetings. During this meeting, we demonstrate proper hygienes to farm workers, farm laborers, and also farmers. For example, we provide a lot of hands-on training in a more comfortable environment for producers and farm laborers. These activities increase awareness for FSMA requirement and encourage greater adoption for food safety practice. At the same time, the project also revealed ongoing challenges, including limited staffing capacity, also reluctant among some farmers to adopt new practices, and continued barrier related to digital literacy and record keeping. So we do post tailgate meeting and post workshop surveys to gauge this. Overall, the project demonstrates that personalized, culturally responsive outreach and effective approach is key to helping historically underrepresented farmers in the region to increase their knowledge on FSMA and compliance. And I think that is my last slide.
We have one question in the chat. I was shocked at the $21,000 average cost of compliance. What sort of expenses were considered into this cost?
Water testing is one of the thing, but implementation like switching equipments, stainless steel table or a lot of operations don't have a lot of the standard equipment for food safety, boxes, shed and storage for boxes and things like that too. But primarily a lot of time is water testing, getting the water rapidly tested and tested over is one of the thing was listed out. But also equipment upgrade is key too. Having someone designated to hire someone designated to help you with compliance too is another key. Farmers don't have time. If you visit small scale farmers, they don't have a designated food safety person. So a lot of time it's hard for them and they have to hire an outside consulting company or someone to help them with navigating this as well. Like I said, we only have 2 right now. We have 0 because the grant's over. TA provided an area, but without any TA provider and 3,000 small farms in just 2 counties, and the counties it's about the size of a country. It's hard to get from point A to point B. So for the farmers to get assistance and get someone to go to their farms, it costs a lot of money for them as well. Yeah.
Thank you. If people have other questions, please put them in the Q&A and we will answer them at the end. So thank you for the talk and the work from your school. Xiuping will now tell us about sanitizing tools.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. My name is Xiuping, and I've been to co-PI, Dr. Amy Simone and Kim Wiley. They are from University of Florida. So our project is to develop and implement the sanitation training tools for the small farms. A little bit his background, as we know, produce contamination account for almost half of the foodborne disease outbreak cases in the United States. Although there are many risking factors in there, improper on-farm sanitation practice can increase the risk for produce contamination. There's a lot of evidence-based training resources, but not many targeting small growers. And as we know, current sanitation guidance lacks some practical detail for effective implementation on the small farms. And also there are some research gaps. For example, when the contamination event happens, like outbreaks happen, how to clean up, and also how can we make sure the porous surface is sanitized effectively. Water, safety, everyone knows is important, but the water quality can affect the sanitizing efficacy. So the long-term goal of this project is to decrease the food safety risk associated with improper sanitation practices among the small farmers. To achieve that goal, we proposed 3 objectives. The first one was to characterize sanitation practice among small growers. Second one, we determine the effect of sanitation module on grower knowledge and self-report practices. And the last one, to determine the effect of educator module on educators' knowledge and confidence. So first, we conduct a systematic literature review to identify produce safety training approaches that improve food safety practices using the PRISMA systematic review guidelines. And we search the 5 databases and for those peer-reviewed articles. And our overall findings or produce safety training did help reduce foodborne diseases, but clear evidence is still lacking. And only 21 U.S. training studies met the priority criteria, and also only 1 study designed to demonstrate true cause and effect between training and the produce safety practices. So produce safety training effectiveness is ensured despite post-training changes. Therefore, the rigorous evaluations needed to show its impact on foodborne disease reduction. So we published our review on last year in the Journal of Food Protection. And then we conduct the stakeholder interviews, online grower surveys, and also did the face-to-face interviews with growers, review interviews, try to characterize the sanitation practices. So across the stakeholders and the growers, there's a clear need for practical, easy-to-use training resources for sanitation, with added emphasis on some key applied topics such as the water quality and transportation, while still including targeted theoretical contents primarily for educators' training module. We developed 2 modules. One is for growers and another for educators. So far we already created and will be delivered in Florida. The reason we choose Florida because it is the third largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the United States. The training curriculum was designed following the principles of revised Bloom's taxonomy. And two courses we all set up in University of Florida Institute for Food and Agriculture Sciences site as Canvas courses. So each Canvas course consists of PowerPoint slides, videos, interactive learning tools, links to additional resources, for example, like food safety clearinghouse or other resources. And also we include quizzes, quadric surveys for pre and post training to measure the effectiveness. In considering of the our targets, users, we also translate the growers module into Spanish version as well. So right now, like our education module for the initial launch occurred in last month. Basically, it's a pilot testing. We recruit the 4 extension agents from University of Florida, and also like Clemson University. They give very good like feedback. So right now we are improving our module, and next we're going to do intermediate launch. Especially for those extension agents, they can use that as in-service training followed by national launch. So we expect probably 100 people get like trained by the educators module. For the grower module, we also did the pilot training testing last month, and this month we're going to launch the intermediate followed by national launch. And we're going to have probably 50 people, 50 growers, either through the Canvas training or by face-to-face training event. We did experience some challenges, especially in like recruiting the growers. As we know, those like the growers are the hard to reach population because they grow there's a seasonal growing demand, and also small growers has few employees, so they are like limited in the manpower. They don't have much time, and also like trust and confidentiality concerns. Besides that, in order to measuring long-term behavior and practice changes, probably need longer time rather than just during the project duration. So in conclusion, our systematic literature review indicate that despite some post-training changes, the overall effectiveness of produce safety training remains uncertain. Therefore, improved training approaches are needed. From the interviews with the stakeholders and growers, their feedback inform us on the content and direction for developing those 2 training modules. Currently, those modules have been developed and Canvas course set up already. So the next step, because our project will end at the end of August, so we'll deliver both educator and the growers, and the data collection will be complete in the summer, by the end of August. So finally, I acknowledge my co-PI, Dr. Simone and Wiley, for their support, help, and patience, because I was like I took over the project last year because Dr. Angie Fraser left the university. And then again, the students, they from both universities work very hard to develop the modules and set up the Canvas course. Our stakeholders from industry, government, and like university trade group, they give very valuable feedback for us developing those modules. And the most important, our end users, those participating small produce farms and extension agents, their willingness to participate and also the time they devote into. And finally, I thank the USDA-NIFA for fund our project. Thank you.
Thank you for your work and all you had to say. Now it's everyone's turn during the Q&A. So go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A and Peggy, Keith, and I will read them. If all of the presenters want to unmute yourself so that you're ready when a question comes in for your project, that would be great.
While we're waiting, just a couple of reminders. We will post all talks that we get permissions for on the Southern Center website. We'll also make them available on the Clearinghouse. Just a reminder, we're planning to host an in-person meeting in the spring of 2027, which is our official last year of this grant. But again, we're going to have an in-person meeting for those who want to present or didn't get the opportunity today. Depending on how many folks need to present as part of their FSOP award, we may or may not have another virtual meeting. We are looking forward to seeing a lot of you folks, probably in Tampa in the spring of 2027, but we'll send those details out when available. So do we have any questions? Don't see any. I'm just going to go back and there was a couple of questions for Pascale. I'm just going to go back and just read these before we adjourn. Is there an update on the 2026 NOFO? And the response, currently the FSOP funding opportunity is released on an annual basis, but it has not yet been announced. To stay up to date, I recommend checking the upcoming NOFO calendar that NIFA publishes at the beginning of each year. So again, no additional information. And the funding level is going to be the same as the previous year, roughly $9.6 million. Do we have any other questions? And again, if not, I would ask you to please use the QR code and fill out the evaluation form. We greatly appreciate it. We greatly appreciate all your participation today. And I don't know if we can send out virtual applause to our speakers, but if we could, that would be awesome. I want to thank all the speakers today. Our moderator, Ellen Johnsen, and finally, Miss Peggy Guerin, for all the hard work she's done behind the scenes and corralling everyone. I did hear does somebody have a question or comment?
I just have a last goodbye for everybody.
Please.
Okay, joining with all of you sure has been fun. Our webinar has ended, but the work is not done. Keep working, keep moving, keep reducing disease, and whatever your project, keep us all informed, please. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you all. Just in case, the evaluation link is also on the chat in case you want to access the evaluation that way.